All right. Version 10.8, we're putting out a new feature, a couple, but we're going to cover one. This is pullback guidance. So what is pullback guidance? So it's just two numbers right here. Right here, minus 0.9. Right now it's saying minus 0.9, and for Epoch 7 and for Cat 7 it's saying 4.5 plus yards or minus 0.9 rings. Now it's grabbing them from your bag. So if I were to change a bag to your active bag, you see I have Epoch 8 Cat 8 now. This has changed to Epoch 8 Cat 8. Or if I went down to like an extra mile, something like this, Epoch 4 Sniper 10. Yeah, so it's looking at your current bag you have selected, and it's giving you pullback guidance for those clubs. So what is pullback guidance? Well, let's take a look at, keep it this big. Let's look at the Epoch 7. So in this setup, I have 10% elevation, 180 degree wind angle, meaning I'm going into direct headwind, and wind strength at 10 miles per hour. So what this number is telling me right now is that for me to pull to maximum OP, where I cannot pull any more into the max of the OP band, I need to start 0.9 rings back from zero. So these two numbers are looking at the relative point from the 0 yard mark and how far or how forward you need to be, so that when you make your pull will end up at the maximum OP stretched out position. This is very handy for setting up drives in headwind. So let's take a look. If I put 0, if it's affected by the ball, it compensates for that. So if I put a power 0 ball, well, Epoch 7 says I need to go to minus 3.7 rings back from 0 or back from max in this case. If I had a P5 ball, it'd say now I need to be in the plus 5 yard mark if I were to make a pull in headwind, where the end of my pull is going to be at maximum OP position. And because I am using a wind model, it's basically telling me where I need to start so that my ball will land there, right? So if you're straight into headwind, 10 miles per hour, I pull back with a power 5 ball. I just go to the 5 yard mark. I pull, I try to hit perfect. I'm going to land back at that point. All right, so it's affected by the wind angle. So if I had a mix of headwind and crosswind, say something like 135 degrees, you can see here for a power 5 ball, it's saying I need to be at the 17.8 yard mark. If I had a power 3 ball, it'll change as well, right? So same thing, affected by clubs, whatever club I select here. So this one is saying I need to be at the plus 6.9 yard mark for a power 3 ball. If I had a power 1 ball, now it's saying I have to be back 0.2 rings. So that my max pull, when I make the pull from that point just below 0, I will be at the maximum OP position, right? So it's always active. It's always telling you. It does it for the driver and for your woods. It's calculating when you make your max pull, you're going to be at the maximum stretched out max OP position. So let's see some videos to see how that can be handy. So I got some shots here. We'll start off with this one. So I think this shot kind of hops into after I have the shots. So no, I don't. This is actually a live shot. So I go first. So I'm looking at the setup here, stretching out to match just to get, putting the wind angle 122 and 128. Now you can see that it's saying now I need to be at the 8 yard mark. So let's go see. So I need to pull back to the 8 yard mark, so that if I were to go, well, and also I'm setting up the calculator for the correct slider, because that gives me the correct pull So let's go back just a little bit. Right now it's showing 100% slider right here, but since it's telling me I need to be back at the 8-yard mark, I also need to set up for, so it gives me the right number of rings to pull. So I'll put that in. So I'm going to go to the 8 mark. Now I know I need to pull 12.8 rings. All right. Set up at the 8-yard mark. Pull 12.8 rings at a 9-degree pull. Set up at the +8. You can see I'm just in front of the trap. Right in front of the trap. Just below the rough, right in that little pocket there. I'm going to play 12.8 rings. It should bring me to maximum pull. So I pulled a 10. I got about 2 rings left to max. And then the 12.8. You can see I'm 2 rings in. So if I made that as one long pull, I would have hit max OP. Pull, full max, full OP. And you hit your position. Okay, so that's pretty awesome. You can hit your spot. So why is that? So why is that also useful? I'm going to go back because now when you're setting up your position, you can also look at your ball guide and you can make an intelligent decision that, okay, I know I'm going to land there. Now you can make judgments on curl. Like this one, I can see already I'm not going to need much curl, right? So I'll pull back, make the shot, and I just go for a straight pull, straight OP. Okay, let's go to the next one. Same hole. This next one is going to be the same hole, but the wind and the angle is just a little different. It doesn't look that much different, but it is. It kind of hopped in on the middle of this shot. But this is 135-degree wind angle with 14.2, so the wind is stronger. But the calculator is telling me I need to be 1.2 rings back from the 0 position, right? Go to 0-yard mark. I need to be 1.2 rings back. So I set up the calculator by putting 0. That my slider now is going to be at the 0-yard mark, -2 back, -2 rings back from 0. So you can see me searching for 0. I found 0. And then now I'm going to pull 2 rings back from there. Okay. So now I notice I'm not even going to clear the trap. So I need to find a position where I'm not going to land in the trap. Go max OP. Now looking at that, I can make an intelligent decision on how much curl I need to put. The calculator is telling me I need to pull 4.8 rings at 9-degree angle. So I'm going to make the pull. So 10 rings. I just want about 1 ring in. Yeah. Well, then let me go back there. So at 1 ring in on that first pull. I just missed it. 1 ring on that first pull. And you can see just about 1 ring to the max OP position. Yeah. So now being able to understand what I'm looking at in my shot, I'm able to apply what I think is appropriate curl. I land on the side of the trap where I was, where the calculator was telling me I was going to land. That's extremely useful. Here's another one. So I'm setting it up. Direct headwind, 11.8 miles per hour wind strength. I put in that at the 0-yard mark because pullback guidance is telling me I need to be 3 rings back from 0. So I put 0 and -3. So I go to 0 right there, and then I pull 3 rings back from here. Okay, so that's 3 rings back. And now I know, okay, barely gonna clear the rough, but I know I'm gonna clear the rough. All right, calculator telling me I need a 15.3 pull. That's 10. I'm about 1 ring into it. And I just went for it real fast. But yeah, back to max OP. This one I hit double great left, but all right, we can see that yeah, it lands where it says I should be landing at. I have a better understanding what's going to happen. I know I'm going to hit the rough because I went double great left, but fortunately it rolls through. All right, you make much more intelligent decisions when you know what's happening with your shot. Okay, let's look at this one. This is the one where you got to pull back, but yet you can't roll too much forward or you roll through the rough on the other side. Setting it up. Okay, set up at 0 because, again, pullback guidance is saying I need to pull back 6.6 rings. So I say from 0, go back to -7 rings to set up the ring pull. Okay, so go to 0. And I'm setting it for 7 rings back from there. So now I know how much top spin to put, because I can't put too much top spin on the shot or else I'll go through the other fairway. But since you know where you're going to land, you can make a much more intelligent decision on how much top spin or backspin to put based on the ball guide, because you have a truer ball guide when you're landing at your position. All right, it's still going to compress. You still have to understand the ball guide will compress or expand depending on the wind direction. But since we're dealing with mostly headwind with the pullback guidance, we know it's going to compress. So that's 10 rings there, and then I need to pull 9.2 rings. There's my 9.2 ring pull. Pretty much max OP. I think I pulled just a little bit. It is an estimated model. I'll talk about it a little bit later. Now, I'm saying you can make a shot right there. Not the most challenging shot, but if you didn't have an understanding, you might have been putting full. You kind of would have to guess on how much top spin to put. But this one, you can kind of look at it because you have a much better understanding of what's happening. So on this shot, put an angle at 165, 12.8 miles per hour. Calculator saying I need to go 4.6 rings back from 0. But here's the thing, what's interesting about this one, it's a P0 ball I'm playing. It doesn't matter, the calculator figures that out for you. So it's just basically 5 rings back from X. But I also want to show you that, and I'll talk about it a little bit after. Now it's just about 5 rings back from 100%. It's 70.5% slider for APOC 4. But for whatever reason, out of habit, I put 0 in there anyway. But you see that the slider didn't change. It's basically the 70.5 before I put the 0. After I put the 0, still 70.5. That's because P0 ball, 0 is a 100, so it doesn't matter. In this instance, I could have left the 0 out. Go back 5 rings. Right, so for this shot, what was handy is that I can see where the ball guide was extending to, right around there. I could see it's me close to making the fairway. And setting up for a power slice here. Just barely make the fairway. Okay. Here's another one, setting up. Headwind. So looking at the angle, looks about 130, up at 140. Yeah, just past 135. 11.5 miles per hour. Pullback guidance now is saying I need to go back to 0. 0 rings or plus 0 yards. So 0 at the 0 yard mark. So I just put in 0. Let me just highlight that too. I'll talk about it later. Right now you can see the slider saying 100%. As soon as I put in 0, you see that it changed to 74%. So it's making the correct slider at the 0 yard mark. So I pull back to 0. And now I can see my ball guide when I'm full top spin. I can see that I will have enough distance to get to the next fairway. .8 pull. Let's see, just about. Okay. A little glitchy. Okay, and makes the next fairway. And also got to see how much curl I need to put because I saw my ball guide was far off to the left. Here's another one where you have to control the top spin because you may roll into the rough. So here, just before that, as soon as I put in, I need to go 4.2 rings back from 0. So I put 0 and -4 rings back from 0. Pull back 4 rings before 0. I'm going to try to get the best ball guide I can see, but it's kind of glitchy. In this case, probably the ball guide is going to get compressed a lot, but you can see where I am as far as the landing position, right about the middle of the trap. Then you can see it gets to max OP. And the ball, it's hard to tell from this angle, but yeah, it's about halfway up the trap. Yeah, could have got a little more aggressive with the ball guide because of the compression. Now here's another one that's again very useful. 165 15.1 miles per hour. It's showing I need to now be 5.5 rings back from 0. Now if I were to pull back to 0 from here, I'll be in the rough because the rough is cutting across your target line. So what's nice is if you can pull, you know where you need to pull back. You also know where you need to put your bullseye, right? That you need to move off, how far off to the right you need to go. Setting it up, 0, -6 rings back. Going to 0. And go 6 rings back. And now I know, alright, this position looks good. I'm giving myself some leeway in case for OP, put the blue on the rough. And also know you have another factor of safety that just from here I know I have to put a lot of curl. I can see where the ball guide is putting off is going off to, but I also know that as I put curl in this kind of strong wind, it's going to push the ball to the right of my target. Okay. Okay, here's I think the last one. So this is another one that kind of is good to show how much control you can have if you know what's happening with your ball. So okay, the guidance is saying I have to go to the 0 yard mark, basically 0.2 yards. So I put that in as 0. I'm going to go back to the 0 yard mark. All right. And now when I extend out my ball guide, I have a better understanding of what's happening here. So I know this is going to roll out with the Apex 7, so I'm thinking it's going to kind of, so I need to really turn the ball to get it. So I want to use some amount of curl, but not too much. So what I'm trying to say is why I chose to curl that much is because I know this is not the ending point and I just need to move it here. I think the ending point would be up there for the ball and I need to move it over there. So it'll be a bigger curl than I think. And then I need to pull 10.9 rings. right? So I'm going to do it in one pull. And just short of OP, right? Very, very close, max OP. Okay, lands where I was putting, approximately where I was putting the target. Okay, and that's it. So that's it. It's based the pullback guidance. But let me go one last thing just to make sure this is how a basic of how the ultimate golf flash calculator works. Is that right? You have these slider offsets. So I just want to just go over this last quick point, and then that'll be the end of this. So you can see here I have this slider at 100%. Let's go to let's stay with this. It doesn't matter. But as soon as I put in a plus yardage mark, say I put 5 in here, right? Now it's showing 80.8% slider. You know what? Let's go to epoch, because I think people will be more familiar with, because we know it's 16%, right? That if I went to the 16-yard mark, this is showing 98.9. It's like 16.2 or something, 16.3. I don't know what it is, 16 something, a little over. But we're at the 16-yard mark, right? Basically 100%. So I want to show that if I change the slider, nothing changes. It ignores the value, right? There's 2 bases for the slider. When you put this, you can put your slider information here. You can put 100 here, it changes it. But if I were to put, like, say 6-yard, at the 6-yard mark, now the slider becomes 83%, and the slider no longer is ignored. Okay. These offsets are always live. So now I'm at 83. I can still adjust this 83% slider by saying, okay, I want to go 2 rings back from that, or 5 rings back. And you can see the slider it calculates the ring size at max, 5 rings, what that yardage is, and adjusts the slider. So in a sense, and I mentioned this in the user guide, there's 2 bases for the slider. You can either be just the slider itself, like 50, and then adjust the slider from there. You can see 2 rings back from there and see it adjusts, or you can put it a plus yardage mark here. So I saw a 2-yard indication. All right, now this gets overridden, right? Nothing comes there, but yeah, you can still adjust it back or forward, whichever way you want to go. The slider will change. Okay, I just wanted to just cover that, just to go over the fundamentals of the slider offsets. But yeah, version 10.8, new feature, pullback guidance, extremely handy. All right, thanks for watching.